Alright, so this is going to be a different type of video. I'm going to be going over a replay of a Hi-Elo player playing Brand. This is the guy we're looking at. So this is, just for some context, this is like a 20-minute game. So what that means is it's probably going to be very much about the laning phase. Someone is going to snowball out of control. Um, I assume it's the bot lane since you're looking at this replay. So we're going to focus on what the Brand does mostly during laning phase because that's probably what decides this game. So we're going to pay special attention to things like back timings, uh, just how he plays the lane, the choices he makes, how he uses his skill shots specifically, because it's not necessarily much about accuracy as it is about properly timing and using skill shots. It makes a big difference mechanically. Um, just looking at the teams, Nar should be in favor of the enemy team. Hecarim should be in favor of your team. This matchup can go either way. It depends on the skill of the champions. These guys are going to have a big early advantage over these guys, right? Because Lucian Braum is, it's always been a very strong lane ever since those two champions have existed, since Braum's release. People have played Lucian Braum just because it has a really strong early game. So, we'll also talk about lane positioning, because how you position against lanes like that is very important, because those guys have a really strong all-in. So we'll see what this guy does. Alright, so he's going to go sit in the tri-brush. So when you're sitting in the tri-brush, you don't want to do anything other than sit in the tri-brush. You might want to sit in this corner here, just so you can... He didn't see those guys, by the way. He can only see to, like, right here. But you want to sit, like, in this corner, so you have the most vision possible down here to see that coming, because you don't want these guys to, like, walk into this bush and kill you. So, just walks up for the BM, emote spam. So now these guys know that they've been spotted out probably, because if they all walk through as 4 through your jungle, there's probably wards somewhere. Probably usually one around the red buff somewhere, and usually one on the first camp. You want this ward because you want to see if the enemy jungler is starting down here, and you want to see if the enemy bot lane decides to start down here too. So the enemy team is gonna know that you guys are starting down here, which is dangerous. Um, Especially since they have a Braum. So it's interesting that they didn't decide to ward anything to see if the enemy bot lane would try and stop them. But so that probably means that they were leashing the Kha'Zix. Okay, so look what he's doing. He's standing up here because the enemy bot lane was still leashing, right? Since they didn't invade, that meant the Kha'Zix was probably sitting down here doing this camp. So he's gonna walk up and he's gonna use this ability level 1, and this is a really good positioning because they can't like they need to walk backwards to dodge it, and most players don't want to do that because they want to be in range of the wave. Because if they're not in range of the wave, this guy's gonna get the push advantage. But this is good. This is just good poke from him because he's you guys are stronger. They're great. Sorry, these guys are stronger level 1 than those guys, right? Their power spike starts at level 2, and that like level 2, level 3, level 4. That's when they want to be afraid of these guys. Right now, since they're coming into lane and Brand has the range advantage, he can do this. He can position this aggressively. So, oh, he hits both of them too. Nice. Oh, okay, he got the minions. He missed that one though. So yeah, Brand is positioning fairly aggressively because he can abuse his range advantage right now. Because Lucian is pretty short range. Yeah, dodges the Q. If you're playing Brand, you shouldn't be you should try to not be afraid of the Braum Q this early on, because if he hits you with it, he's really just like he's wasting mana, and you should have some sort of poke advantage on him. Like he dodged this, which is good. That's mechanically good. But even if he got hit, it's not that bad because he can walk up and auto this guy a couple times, at least once. And Lucian can't really follow up on it because he's at an HP disadvantage already. He's more focused on the wave, and he doesn't have his dash. So he hits into him with an auto. Yeah, he's just trying to abuse his level 1. Alright. So once these enemy guys hit level 2, they're going to be careful. Yeah. See, now he starts positioning back. Because really, at this point, it's just better for him to try and make and abuse one of their mistakes. If they walk up too far, Brand wants to punish. He doesn't want to be the one to aggress anymore. Because it's really easy for that to result in a bad outcome. So he'd rather just punish them for overextending than stand forward. So he's going to either stand in line with his ADC or he's going to stand slightly behind him because he has so much range. Now you're just going to freeze the wave, which is good. You want to set these guys up for a gank. Since your jungler started top side, he's going to be coming bot side soon. He may gank for them. And since they know the enemy jungler started bot side, he's top side right now. So. Oh, see, that's what you want to do. That's why Brand's been standing back this whole time. Right? Because Braum wants to stand forward and abuse their advantage, but if Braum fucks up positionally or gets hit by a skill shot, Brand can punish. So that's why Brand's been standing back. He's just waiting for this guy to fuck up, which is fine, and that's how he's gonna win this lane. I imagine they're probably gonna get this kill. The ignite comes out, flash Q. Okay, they're probably not gonna get this one. Okay, they forced that flash too. All right, that's really good for them. First blood going to the Jhin. Feels good, man. So at this point, yeah, he's just gonna... Alright, so now they're back in lane. Yeah, he's playing aggressively since he had the gank coming. Solution's probably gonna die. Oh, this is so bad. That was such a good punish by the Hecarim too. Yeah. And at this point, the lane is pretty fucking won. Jhin with 2 kills and an assist. It's fucking terrifying. The entirety of Lucian's power spike is pretty much gone. Like, he's gonna have to work really hard in mid-game in order to actually be effective. So really, the game is kind of over at this point. But let's just talk about how it got to this point. Brand abused his level 1 range advantage and stepped forward and poked, and he was really aggressive. He got good damage off. Lucian spent most of the lane at like 3/4 to half health just because the Brand abused his level 1. He played passively once they hit their level 2. Like, they're level 2, they're level 3, where they're naturally disadvantaged. He played back, and he just waited for them to fuck up, and he punished when the Braum stepped forward and didn't respect the percentage damage, and just the damage in general coming out of the Brand. And they forced both flashes, and that resulted in them getting ganked by the jungler, which was his correct decision, right? Because he did a full clear, and even though his jungle was gone down here, he just came right back and ganked, which is really nice of that jungler. So that was well played. At this point, the lane is pretty much over bot. Like, these guys should win 100% of the time. So how does he snowball it? Let's see how he keeps the lead. Yeah, that was just playing properly. He abused his advantage, and he stepped back when he lost his advantage. So now they want to play back because they don't know where the Kha'Zix is, right? And if the Kha'Zix comes down here, they can still be very, very dead because of Braum CC. Right, so that's why they're playing back. The other reason they're playing back is because the enemy minion wave is just so big. And they do not want to be, they do not want to try and take trades in a minion wave, because Jhin needs to auto to trade. Yeah, Braum's responding. So. He's just getting a good poke off. Holy shit. That was good. Alright. Alright, so how does he play this? Okay, he's going to separate from his ADC. He did that because he didn't know where he was going to go, so he just juked this way. Right? And if this guy tries to fight the... If this guy tries to fight the Jhin in the minion wave, he's probably going to lose. He's probably going to get stunned. And this guy can still respond, right? Because even though he's separating himself from the ADC, his ADC has an advantage because he's in the minion wave. And this brand can currently choose to go for the enemy ADC or to go for this guy, depending on what happens. And they have vision of him because they placed a warden there, which is also really good. Like, just whenever you're fighting, you should always be trying to place wards in places like this. Like, see how they have complete vision of everything. They have vision of this bush, they have vision of this bush. So there's nowhere this Kha'Zix can go under any circumstance where they can't see him unless he uses his ult. And he has used his ult. He's currently invisible. But this is all perfectly set up so that he can't, like, his ult is his only invisibility. He can't use the bush to juke skill shots or anything like that. So we'll just see. Okay. So he decides to go for the brand, which is good. So Brand's kiting towards his jungler. He doesn't want to kite into the turret, but it looks like he's going to make a mistake. Oh, he kited into the turret. He's going to die for that. And his Q hit the minion, but it looks like it won't matter. Yeah. Oh, the heal. Alright. So yeah, the brand separated himself, because if he goes in this bush, the chances are he's probably dead. Or if he stays in this bush, the chances are he's probably dead. So he juked upwards. Or he didn't juke upwards, he just walked upwards. Because the Kha'Zix was already going to E in there. He was going to assume that he's going to walk forward. And so then he forced the Kha'Zix to choose between going after him or going after his ADC. If he goes after the ADC, he's probably dead. Because at the end of the day, you have a horse that has Ghost. And this horse is going to chase that Kha'Zix down with the Jhin. So the Kha'Zix's best chance to get out was just to go for the brand and get the reset and E out. And it didn't turn out that way. If the brand had actually not gotten hit by the turret, he would have lived there. Or there's a really good chance that he lived there at least. Maybe not 100%. How much damage does the Kha'Zix have? He only has 2 long swords. He probably would have lived, even though he's pretty squishy. So yeah. Now the bot lane is extremely fed, and the jungler is fed. So the game is even more over than it was 10 minutes ago, or whatever, 3 minutes ago. See what's happening in the other lanes. Top lane has a kill lead, but a CS deficit. Mid lane has a kill lead and a CS lead. And, well, these guys are pretty ahead anyway. Alright. Okay, I don't know why they're fighting this since these two have 6. This is just bad on their part. These guys are so tilted. Okay, he's gonna juke into the bush to lose the aggro, but there's a warden there. That's another thing, just if you don't know. Like, if you try and walk into a bush to lose the aggro from the minions, and you don't, there's a warden there. So that'll give you some information. But this also disincentivizes them to push up. Like, once some enemies come back, they're gonna have to back off. Because they'll need to respect the Gnar TP, which is almost back up. I assume they've timed it. Even if they haven't, it'd still be a good idea for them not to push up this far once these two return. Because if the Gnar TP's behind them, they're both dead. Yeah, see, they immediately back off once they see the Lucian. Because if the Lucian shows up and suddenly the Gnar TP's behind them, which they may or may not know. Like, they may or may not know the Gnar's TP timing, but they do know there's a ward here. See, they're even clearing this ward because they're afraid of the TP. So... Alright, so these guys are casually killing your mid laner. Block some of the calling, you have the gank coming in. That guy's dead again. So Kha'Zix is coming in. How do they play this? They have the Kha'Zix, they have the Kassadin. He waits until he's in tower range, fear him, and then do the brand thing. Holy shit! Yeah, that was well played. He waited until the what's his face? The Kazakhs had been feared into tower range before stunning him, which was good. Turned out it was also enough damage to kill him, which is also nice. Oh, forces a flash. The Jin shouldn't have used his ult there, since I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the damage to fully one-shot the... Never... He does have quite a fucking gold lead. But I still don't think the ult would have been enough to kill the Lucian, even if he hit all of them. I know that he has the Yomos and another longsword, it should be enough. So yeah, they're just going to keep going back to this lane until this tower is down, at least. Okay, so now he's going to... Since Braum is mid, he's going to follow the roam. And try and help them keep control of mid. Yeah. He's coming back bot because the Braum is probably backing, or he may have walked down here too. So he doesn't want his ADC to be alone down here, especially when the enemy top laner has TP and the enemy mid laner probably has TP soon. Like, you don't know if they're timing it or not, but they probably... Holy shit. But they probably assume that he has it up anyway. So they got turret, now they're going to go for the dragon. Oh yeah, they rotate mid. Yeah, this game is pretty over. Because they got the first blood tower in bot lane, they got another tower in mid lane. Like, this advantage that the Jin has right now is just insane. Because he got the tower first blood, and they got another tower mid. That's all just crazy. So yeah, this gold lead is just out of control. They shouldn't lose at this point. Holy shit, this Jin is tilting me. Okay, he's clearing wards, which is good. Okay, so they know that the Braum is coming. They should still mid. He's slowed. Oh, the prediction. Tilted. Yeah, notice how when they were walking towards that bush, they walked together, just because the enemy team had a Kha'Zix. That's what you should do, by the way. If you know a Kha'Zix is around here and you don't know where he is, don't walk up to a bush alone. Alright, so now the Brand is coming to help his good old teammate. Oh! Ooh. Yeah, he's just gonna push the wave in. Holy shit. Feels bad, man. Okay, so the Brand just used his spooky ghosts, mostly because he wants to see if there's anyone in here. But the other thing is like if he gets a pick off of this, like if they find a jungler, sitting right here or something like that. I mean, they know he's here, but if they found someone just like sitting right here and they get a cinder stun and they ult him and they kill him, this tower is free. So it serves a dual purpose of making sure that he doesn't face check when he probably wards this, and of possibly getting a pick and ensuring the tier 2. But so they know the Kha'Zix is bot side of them. Syndra is serving a noble purpose. Aw, no juke today. Apparently the Cinder is a potato and she didn't notice the pings. Okay, so notice how he's standing when he's clearing this. He's standing as far to this side of the bush as he can and as far away from the ward as he can. Because he does not know where the Kha'Zix is. And it's a small thing, but it can make a difference. Versus Kha'Zix, versus LeBlanc, versus Zed, versus any sort of assassin that wants to do cheesy shit. You need to be as careful as you can when you clear wards. Holy shit. Oh, I had ult. Yeah, this is just a joke of a game now. This game is so over. Holy shit, the Cinder is hitting people with the tip of the dick. She's hitting the edge of so many Qs. I love that animation glitch. So he's just going to help his ADC push bot. Probably going to ward and back. He has no mana. Now he's going to greed for some CS. Now he's going to back. That was kind of a questionable backing spot. Because he just used his sweeper. He has no clue if any of this is warded. Right? He has no clue if any of this is warded, excuse me. So the fact that he backed there and got away with it was kind of lucky. But he did back in a bush, which is important. At least he did that. Okay, that was an interesting Braum ult. This bot lane is tilted. This bot lane is so tilted. And the game is over. Yeah. Fun. So this game was won because he played the lane like he needed to. He essentially played the lane properly, and the Hecarim punished. But the difference between how he played and how you play is that you probably don't play properly, and by that I mean you probably don't know exactly what the enemy bot lane spikes are. You play aggressive when you shouldn't. You play passive when you shouldn't. Things like that. You may not always notice it, but just the way he played, when he had the advantage, he was playing up. He was punishing. He was poking, right? But when they had the advantage, he played back and let them make mistakes. And they did make mistakes, and they also happened to get ganked at the same time they made mistakes, which is really good. But even though the Hecarim was the reason they got some of these kills, the Brand set up these kills on his own as well. Like the first blood was pretty much Brand set up, and then Jhin, flashing in and getting a kill, which anyone from Bronze to Challenger can do. So yeah, if you just play back and punish their mistakes as opposed to trying to force plays and playing aggressively when the enemy is stronger, that's how you play properly. Right, that's just proper play. That's what he did down here. That's how you play Brand. That's how you play any bot lane, right? If you're weaker, you sit back and you let them make mistakes, and you just put yourself in a position where you can assist your AD carry if they get aggressed on, where you can punish the enemy if they get too aggressive when they shouldn't be, right? And if your jungler also happens to gank bot, that's also good. The other good thing about playing passively in this situation was that it set your jungler up to gank, right? The reason he was able to gank bot lane was because the lane was sitting like right here, which is partially because Lucian pushes. He likes to push, and it's partially because Jhin has a really hard time pushing. But it's also because he wasn't too aggressive. He wasn't standing far up. Like every time you get aggressive and you auto someone, it takes minion aggro, and that when you take minion aggro, that means the minions the enemy minions aren't doing damage to your minions, and that slightly pushes the wave into them. So because he was playing passively, because he wasn't throwing his skills in the middle of the wave and pushing the wave into the enemy team, um, that set his jungler up for a good gank, right? Because he played passively and he didn't hit the wave too much as Brand, and the enemy was automatically pushing because Lucian is trying to get poke off, um, and they just end up pushing into you guys, pushing into them like this. That set the jungler up for a gank as well. So Brand made multiple correct decisions that resulted in them snowballing this lane, and at the same time, the enemy team made a lot of mistakes, right? Like I can guarantee you, these are challenger players, like challenger master players that are making this mistake, right? Like I know this guy is challenger, um, and if they're making this mistake, if this Braum is stepping up into the open and just taking Braum combos to the face, the same shit, or sorry, Brand combos to the face, the same shit is happening in lower elo, and it's happening much more often. It's okay to sit back and not always be aggressive and let the enemy make mistakes when they're stronger than you, because that's how you play properly, right? So just if you're not stronger than they are, let them make mistakes and then punish those mistakes. And that works even at this elo, right? That works all the way up to here. The enemy team still fucks up. So, yeah. But he also abused his strength. He was aggressive when it was proper. And that was level 1 when he had the range advantage, when Lucian could not immediately follow up to stun him, right? So, just you have to think of all the different bot lane combination in terms of that too. When are they stronger? When are you stronger? Right? Naturally, the course of this lane dictates that the enemy team is probably stronger until Jhin gets at least one item. Um, right, like that 2v2 is probably just stronger than Jhin overall 3v3. They have a level 1 advantage. Brand has a lot of level 1 advantages just in general because there are not that many people that outrange him. There are not that many people that outtrade him. He does a lot of damage early on. I know in mid lane, his level 1, level 2, level 3 are all very strong because he can punish people so hard. He does a lot of damage. It's very easy for him to get off. Against squishier lanes, I imagine he would have been able to play more aggressive. But trying to think, what else? Yeah, you just need to. This was just him knowing the matchup. So I would, I just looking at one replay isn't enough. Right, I'm giving you a guide to look at Brand replays. So if you're gonna look at this guy's other replays, watch when he plays aggressively and when he plays passively in the lane. Sometimes he'll play aggressively and sometimes he'll play passively, but there's a reason for it. There's a reason he chooses to go in and take a trade, and it's because he'll probably win the trade. It's because his bot lane is stronger than their bot lane at that point in time. So, yeah. But in this matchup, I'm pretty sure that Lucian, uh, levels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're stronger than you. I don't think until like 2 or 2 plus items that Jhin starts to outscale the Lucian, which is kind of past the point of laning phase. But what makes the Jhin Brand combo strong isn't necessarily the 2v2. It's also the 3v3 because bot lane is not just a 2v2. Right? People always make the mistake of assuming that top and mid are 1v1s and bots a 2v2. You always have to include the jungler in the equation. Um, that's what makes this bot lane fairly strong too. It's not just because of the 2v2, it's because of the 3v3, right? Like you saw how the 3v3 played out when Kha'Zix got there. They lost. And that wouldn't have been the case. Like even if they weren't feeding, like that also would have been the case because you guys have so much, and you have ways to start fights. You have ways to follow up on fights. Like the CC between you two is so good, and with a damaged jungler like Hecarim coming in from behind them, or just flanking, or just walking through them, you you should always win that 3v3 because you have so much more CC than the enemy bot lane. Like yeah, the Braum Lucian is strong because they can engage on one person very reliably, right? They can kill one of you very reliably, and because you're both squishy, they beat your bot lane for the majority of laning phase. But once you introduce the Hecarim into the equation, where he's kind of tanky and he also does damage, and he also gives a way for Jin to stun people, and he also gives slows for Jin to ult people, and he also gives slows so that Brand can hit his skill shots so that Brand can kill people, right? Like that becomes so much better. That's the other occasion in which you win it. You win when your jungler comes bot, right? And the jungler will eventually gank. And you can also tell people at your elo, hey, listen, we have a really strong follow up on your engage if you come bot, right? We'll play passively, we'll set the wave up, we'll let them push into us so that you have a really easy gank. And then when you come bot, we'll just follow up and we can kill them. And that's what happened here. And that only reliably happens at high elo, but if you communicate with your team, if you talk with them, and you explain what's going on, like you explain, hey, listen, we have a really strong 3v3 bot lane, we should be able to just win. Uh, they Not everyone will listen, but some people will listen. And if some people listen, that means you get a little bit more elo than you normally would, and that means you'll climb, right? Even if it only like works half the time, that means you win that many more games if your jungler actually executes. So it's important to communicate that as well. It's important to say, all right, hey, Jin, let's not push. Let's let them push into us and then have our Hecarim gank bot and we can just follow up. You can say that to people. You can communicate with your team and recognize this. So, yeah. This is a team game, right? And you need to treat it like one. Sorry. And you need to treat it like one. So, yeah, there was just a lot of good stuff in this game. But I hope that helps. Good luck in your future games, fam.